There's a moment when you look in the mirror and realize the person staring back is the same one from 3 years ago. Not worse, but not better either. Everything is the same job, same habits, same promises you keep postponing. I once knew someone who said every night, "I'll start going to the gym next week." A year passed. The sentence never changed. That's not failure, that's being stuck. Standing still is just another form of falling behind. You don't wake up lost, you drift there, slowly. And when you finally see it, a question rises. Do you need to change? Or do you need to destroy who you are? What you're about to hear are 14 principles. Not to improve your life, but to destroy who you've been and rebuild who you're meant to become. 1. The call for destruction. There comes a point in life when you realize improvement isn't enough. You don't need to be slightly better, you need to become someone else. Most people try to fix themselves like they're fixing a small habit. But the real issue isn't what you do, it's who you are. I once met someone who quit a stable job to start from zero. Not because he hated the job, but because he hated who he became while doing it. You don't change your life by optimizing your current self. Sometimes growth doesn't ask you to improve, it asks you to disappear. And when you accept that, the first cost appears. You will lose the world you once belonged to. 2. Losing your old world. When you begin to change, everything around you starts to feel unfamiliar. Old conversations lose their meaning. Old relationships start to feel heavy. I remember a friend when he stopped partying every weekend. People began calling him different, hard to be around. Not because he changed too fast, but because he no longer fit. When you grow, you don't lose people, you outgrow them. You don't lose people when you grow, you lose compatibility. That feeling will make you question yourself. And that's when a harder decision shows up, to cut it off completely. 3. Burn the bridges. Most people want to change, but they keep a way back. They quit bad habits, but only sometimes go back. They leave relationships, but still text when they feel lonely. I once saw someone delete social media to focus on work. But every time stress hit, he downloaded it again. It wasn't weakness, it was attachment. You can't build a new life if the past is still an option. If it's still an option, it's still a trap. Burning the bridge isn't reckless. It's commitment. And when there's no way back, you're forced to learn how to walk alone. 4. Walking alone. There will be a phase where you walk without anyone beside you. No praise, no validation, just you and your thoughts. At first, it feels like loneliness. But over time, it becomes clarity. I once spent months away from social circles, just working, training, and thinking. No one knew what I was doing, but for the first time, I knew who I was. Solitude isn't the absence of others, it's the presence of yourself. Solitude doesn't break you, it introduces you to yourself. And when you stop fearing being alone, you become ready to step into a version of yourself you once couldn't even imagine. 5. Breaking comfort and weakness. Comfort rarely feels dangerous. It comes softly, warm, and keeps you exactly where you are. The problem is, what feels easy today often makes you weaker tomorrow. You start choosing the shorter path, delaying a little longer. I once knew someone who set an early alarm every day to run. But on cold mornings, he'd turn it off and say, "Tomorrow." A month later, he stopped setting the alarm entirely. Weakness doesn't come from failure, it comes from daily compromise. Comfort doesn't trap you instantly, it trains you slowly. And to break free, you don't just change actions, you change the way you think. 6. Reprogram your mind. Your life reflects what you believe about yourself. Not what you want, but what you repeat in your mind every day. Phrases like, "I'm not disciplined," or "I'm not good at this," aren't facts. They're programming. I once heard someone say, "I'm not cut out for business." After each attempt, he quit sooner. Not because he lacked ability, but because he had already decided the outcome. You don't act based on potential, you act based on belief. The life you live is the story you keep telling yourself. And if you want to rewrite that story, you must control what influences you daily. 7. Cutting negative influences. Not every influence is obvious. Some come from the people closest to you. They don't drag you down directly. They just keep you exactly where you've always been. I once had a friend, every time I talked about a new plan, he would laugh and say, "You're overthinking it." It sounded harmless, but it was enough to make me doubt myself. Your environment doesn't need to destroy you, it just needs to slow you down. Who you spend time with decides how far you go. And once you clear your environment, you realize something else. You need a structure strong enough to carry you forward. 8. Building an unbreakable routine. Motivation comes and goes, but habits stay. If your day has no structure, you'll live based on emotion. And emotions aren't reliable. I once tried working only when I felt like it. Some days were productive. Most days, I never even started. Everything changed when I set fixed hours, no matter how I felt. Discipline doesn't give you freedom immediately. It gives you stability first, then freedom. You don't need motivation, you need a system. But even with a system, there's still one thing that can destroy it all: uncontrolled emotion. 9. Emotional control. It's not your circumstances that break you. It's how you respond to them. One comment, one small situation, can ruin your entire day if you let it. I once argued with a coworker in the morning. It was nothing serious, but I carried it with me all day and got nothing done. Not because the problem was big, but because I let emotion take control. Emotions are signals, not commands. You don't control life, you control your response. And when you master your response, you begin to take control of your entire life. 10. Reinvent your identity. There comes a point where improvement no longer works. You can change your habits, but still remain the same person inside. Your old identity keeps pulling you back. It whispers, "This isn't who you are." I once saw someone start eating clean and training consistently, but every time stress hit, he fell back into old patterns. Because deep down, he still believed he lacked discipline. You don't live by your goals, you live by your identity. You don't rise above who you think you are. If you want real change, you have to rebuild from the ground up. And that requires something harder: standing on your own. 11. Self-reliance. There comes a moment when you realize no one is coming to save you. Not because they don't care, but because this is your path to walk. Self-reliance isn't isolation. It's the ability to stand firm even when no one understands you. I once waited for someone to push me to start a project. No one did. Only when I started alone, things began to move. The moment you stop waiting, you start taking control. No one is coming, that's your advantage. And when you can stand on your own, you learn to use even the hardest things like pain. 12. Turning pain into power. Pain doesn't destroy you instantly. It tests you to see how you respond. Most people avoid it. They bury it in distractions, busyness, or silence. I once failed in a major project. Lost money, lost confidence. But that period forced me to re-examine everything: how I think, how I act. Pain doesn't come to end you, it comes to refine you. What hurts you can build you if you face it. And when you learn to use pain, you begin to build something stronger. Disciplined consistency. 13. Relentless work ethic. Not everyone who succeeds is more talented than you. They're just more consistent than you. Work ethic isn't about extreme effort. It's about showing up every day, even when you don't feel like it. I once committed to writing daily. Some days I had no ideas, no motivation, but I wrote anyway, and over time, it became instinct. Strength isn't built on your best days. It's built on the days you show up without feeling it. Consistency beats intensity every time. And if you stay consistent long enough, you enter a different state. Quitting is no longer an option. 14. The never quit mindset. The ones who never quit aren't the strongest. They're the ones who refuse to stop. They get tired, they doubt themselves, but they keep moving when others walk away. I once wanted to quit a project halfway through. No one would have blamed me. But I asked myself, if I stop now, who do I become? So I kept going. Every time you don't quit, you redefine who you are. You don't win by being better, you win by staying. And when you've gone far enough, you'll look back and realize your old self no longer exists. Bury the old you. There comes a point when you have to accept this. Your old self has served its purpose. Not wrong, just no longer aligned. You don't need to hate who you were, but you must stop bringing him into your future. I once held on to a habit of procrastination for years. I understood it, justified it, until I realized keeping it was still a choice. You're not held back by your past. You choose to hold on to it. You don't move on by holding on. So bury it completely. Because from this point forward, everything you build is who you choose to become.